I actually quite like Danny's prediction, his little wildcard pick here of the Paris Eternals.
Really?
In a sort of sense. He's braver than me, because I went with the Atlanta Reign here, Josh.
Right.
But I think that the thing that Custer was pointing out on the desk as well when he was talking about this match is that, you know, the later it gets into the map pools of this series, the more likely it gets that Paris are going to be reverse sweeping because the maps start to favor them just that little bit more. And that's really going to be, I think, the overarching theme that we're going to see in this series between the Paris Eternal and the Atlanta Reign.
It's a clash of two teams that have pretty similar styles, and I think the Death set that up really well. Both of these teams are favoring that Rush Reinhardt kind of competition, but we don't really know which is better. We haven't seen them directly tested against each other. I think from the eye test, a lot of people are favoring the Atlanta Reign, but they also don't have a match win on the board. You can argue, yeah, their opponents were a higher skill level, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to convert them, and especially that reverse sweep with the Toronto Defiant coming back and beating them, I think that's got a bit of doubt in the minds of all of the Atlanta supporters out there in the world. Especially, Bren, when you think back to their previous season when they are still at the moment, actually, trying to cast off that reputation of just being the gatekeeper team. They want to be more than that. They have the talent to be more than that. And yet they've always struggled to beat teams that are, in any sense, competitive or going for that upper level. Is Paris there yet? I don't think we quite know because it's so early on in the season.
Yeah, what I will say about Paris, though, is they're a team that have been, I think, the longer they're getting these reps, these actual official matches, the better they've really been looking over the course of it as well. And a lot of people have had them very, very low in terms of their rankings, and they have really been trying to just kind of disprove that as we move forward. We can see the Paris starters here, and again, it's probably going to be pretty similar faces as you can see. Actually going to be opting for Suna playing as well, so I think in the first map, probably going to be seeing a lot of alternating between maybe not a lot of rush comp. I don't know if you agree with me there, Josh. Probably going to be seeing Suna playing the Tracer a lot more.
Definitely, our first map, spoiler alert, is Busan, so that all makes sense, the roster that they're fielding. And my eyes, like the Death said, are on Khan and Dan, the duo with the double A's in their name here, because Khan's been such a force in the backline for the Paris Eternal, and when we get to those rush maps of Hanamura and Eichenwald that are coming up, Dan's Reinhardt, and to be honest, how his Winston plays later on in the series is going to be crucial to Paris getting that success. A lot of stress on these guys. Take a look at the Atlanta starters though, Bren, because you're saying, oh yeah, it's all pretty normal, it's all good. Well, Atlanta are pulling something really interesting out here. Iris and Pelican in the back line.
What? Okay, yeah. I mean, we've seen a bit of flexing. Can you tell me what this is? From some other teams. I cannot say what this is.
I mean, I'm hoping for something amazing here because this is wild. This is cool. They've got Edison in probably to play the Tracer, Kai with some long-range hit scan if you think about the normal compositions that are used on Busan. But then what are they doing with their backline there? Are they trying to run Pelican on maybe a BAP and trying to run like a BAP Zen backline and they want someone who can really brag? I don't know, and I don't have enough understanding of what heroes Pelican can play in a support capacity to really predict what's going to happen here. This is new, this is exciting. We know that Pelican's a fantastic player, but we think of him as a DPS player for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll admit as well, there's a gap in my knowledge in terms of the hero pools of like Pelican in terms of what supports he can play, mainly because I didn't think it was ever going to come up when I was watching an Atlanta Reign game, so I didn't really think to look it up. But it could be a scenario like a lot of these guys when they were playing the GOATS composition, we see DPS players moving over to the Brigitte, for example. I don't think that will be the case, but it could be. I mean, we've seen it with, for example, Jake, I think is the most obvious example that we've had this year of a guy who's just kind of known for his DPS, but has been playing mainly in the main support role.
There were many other examples before as well, like people like Rascal as well, a DPS player historically who picked up the BAP and the Brig during that GOATS kind of era and realized that he had a talent for being able to play certain supports where you need to rely on not just your mechanics but your excellent positioning skills as well, something that a lot of DPS players really hone. Whatever they come out with here, though, Brent, I'm going to be excited because this is an interesting look for the Atlanta Reign. People are talking about how good their DPS line is. Well, they found a way to play 3 of them all at the same time here on Busan.
Yeah, that's the big question mark. You can see the last time these two teams met as well was in the 2020 North American playoffs, and it was a 3-2 victory for Atlanta. Now, this time, I imagine, obviously, the Paris Eternal are going to be looking to make that the other way around. But this is a very, very important match for both of these teams in terms of their qualification here. In particular, the Atlanta Reign being 0-2 down overall, which is something that Desk was hammering quite a lot. Because, again, you only played 4 qualification matches for the May Melee to get into the knockouts. So, and the knockouts, again, a reminder, this weekend, actually. I believe it's on Sunday. So they are coming up very quickly.
They certainly are. My eyes are on Suna and Edison, to be honest, although Kai and Odegaard is a fantastic matchup as well of those kind of backline DPS talents. Gator got knocked down incredibly weak there, though. He's going to have to back off, and Iris and Pelican really don't have that much healing to be able to keep a ball and top him back up repeatedly, so that was a huge amount of damage that Gator just sustained, and that's slowed things down for Atlanta somewhat.
Oh, Gator gets knocked off the edge of the map by Dan. Off the side when you're playing Wrecking Ball?
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a new form of MTD. I mean, we've seen the Reinhardt main tank difference. Now we're looking at the Wrecking Ball, and now it gives a free engage for Dan as he tries to lead it in to help his team, creates a ton of space for them, and it allows Odegaard to collect 2 quick and easy kills. The point also going their way.
Yeah, huge, and already just massive impact from the players that we were highlighting in the pre-game.
Wow.
There they are, Dan and Khan. Dan with the opening engagement, making better use of his ball health than Gator did, and Khan has been just mopping people up in the backline. Khan is already at 90% of his Transcendence, doing so much damage, and Iris is no slouch, but Khan is still outpacing it.
And right now, the Atlanta Reign, you know, 40% almost in counting here. And this is really the first attempt that they're going for here. The pulse bomb gets laid down. Suna has to back out of here. Gonna grab the Mega Health Pack, and now we're gonna see ultimates being used. Transcendence by both these teams. Pulse bomb connects. Edison finding that kill onto Neptuno. The burst damage just piercing straight through the superior healing. And now the Atlanta Reign have got enough pickoffs that it could be turnable in their favor right now. Elevo falling very low as well. He's going to get chunked down from the dynamite damage as Edison just tries to clean up the rest of the players who have been made very weak. And it will be the team fight going their way. Still a little bit of a recontest now from Dan as he's going to roll through with the mines. But not really going to be able to do too much with it.
Yeah, I'm interested in what the idea was there. Perhaps thought that he would just be able to pick off a single weak player. Or manage to catch Edison, perhaps. And here's Pelican with a rally as well. That's just going to slow things down for the Paris Eternal, buy some more time and space for Atlanta, and see if they can get set up. Kai was able to get the better end of the Ashe 1v1 in that fight too, so he could pump out a ton more damage as the fight went slow and long, which is a theme so far here. We think of Atlanta as being a very fast-paced, aggressive team, but this comp so far playing extremely slowly.
See, Kai has to send that bomb in the back line. Suna though, classic combo to grab with the post bomb. Removes 3. Kai trying to turn things around for his team, but it's a hard task, and he's going to get chased down by Suna in the back line here. Might even be looking for an extra target. As Edison's
surely Edison is not going to
get his way out of here. The recall.
This is just going to be a terrible stagger. Having said that, yeah, I mean, no, it is. It's just a terrible stagger. The Atlanta Reign are going to be trying to push back in here in a single fight territory. Paris only need to win a single engagement. And Hawk so far has just been caught out many times. First pick in a couple of engagements, not able to get the same value from his ult at all. This is still his first Gravitic Flux, whereas Elevo, he just won the fight with a grab pulse bomb in the previous round. And then
oh my god,
clipped. Sneaky Tsuna hiding in a corner.
That is unreal. What an opening to set up the Paris Eternal now. And you called it, Josh. They only need to win one team fight. Removing the Tracer is a huge advantage moving forwards. Now you can see the Gravitic Flux coming out. Neptuno tried to cancel it with the Shield Bash. Wasn't possible, but Suna even it out again. Look at this guy. He is absurd. It's not over just yet, though. The Atlanta Reign have got the bodies onto the point here. The Shield going to be blocking up a lot of these mines, but Dan is still healthy, and Hawk, the last man standing, he has to stay onto the point, but he's so weak, and it's not going to be enough. The Paris Eternal, with round number 1 under their belts, are off to a great start in this series when all the expectations were against them.
Fantastic beginning. We don't really have that much understanding of how good these teams are at ball kind of compositions. They are slower paced than Rush. They play in an incredibly different way. It's about poking your opponents down from range and being able to set up very nicely coordinated plays with the Tracer and the ball, this kind of thing. Suna had an amazing round. Not just that pulse bomb, which is well coordinated, but he was keeping Edison in check. He was able to pressure the backline multiple times. Just a really solid round from someone who got so undervalued last year playing for the Vancouver Titans. Suna has come out with a resurgence in 2021.
I remember as well consistently, Suna, the coaches that were working with him were always saying how good his tracer was. Constantly, that was one of the main talking points.
But we never
actually seen it. Yeah, we never actually saw it. But now we're finally seeing, it come to fruition, and it's wonderful to see. He really did turn up in that.
He's very weak there, though. He got a lot of damage. Yeah, taken out though. Discord orb on him as well, and then rolled through by Gator. That's a great opening pick. And the compositions, the way that they're going to play out, is that Kai has an enormous range advantage over Onigon, and that plays out right there with a body shot to take him down. And the rest of the Paris Eternals pieces, they're all just going to fall here, one by one.
You can see it here. A couple of players left remaining, just trying to fall onto the point to stop it. But the Atlanta Reign with a nice opening here in this round. You can see them just setting up positioning now as well. And both off tanks as well, Josh running the Sigma, which we saw in the previous round. The Paris Eternal obviously running the Zarya instead.
Yeah. There's less cover on this point for the Zarya to be able to play around. You really need that Sigma shield to be able to get into good positions and wall off long-range snipers, for example. So I understand the pick here from Elevon. Hawk! There's a nice little pick as well. And Kai at the moment is making all the difference on this Widowmaker, finding pick after pick.
Yeah, really playing towards his strengths here. You can see them trying to brawl in the left or the right-hand approach. Oh, wow, the post-bomb laid down by Edison, and the whip shot to push him back into his team, cleaving through them, and it gives Edison the opportunity to just tickle them all down. Atlanta Reign really looking dominant so far in this round, not really giving up any sort of positioning. A lot of it off the back of the fact that they just cannot clear Kai off these angles.
Yeah, and I think one of the big difference makers in the prior round was Elevote Zarya and how that was able to just maintain positioning and hold it against the Atlanta Reign when they were coming in. And this time around, it's much more even. The Sigmas are just battling, spamming against each other's shields, and it creates all of this space for Kai to go around. That's a big engagement from Dan, and Khan's actually used his trance to come into this.
Interesting. I don't know why the Transcendence was used, and Kai obviously didn't get taken out there. The Gravitic Flux to try and turn this fight. The Paris Eternal are committing everything into this. A lot of ultimates being used, and the longer it goes, the worse it's getting for them. 85% in counting. The Atlanta Reign, I think that might just be it, because they're going to start playing forwards now. If Dan is able to touch, maybe he can get the overtime going, but they're going to be man-marking him the entire time, stopping him from getting anywhere, Josh. This looks like it might just be over.
Yeah, there it is. Atlanta respond immediately back. What a back-and-forth game so far. The first round was pretty comfortably in the Paris Eternals' favor. A bit more of a condensed environment that favored their Zarya. And instead, as soon as you get to open territory where Kai and Edison can have more impact, suddenly Suna went completely quiet. Onigod getting shut down repeatedly. And now here we go again, a completely different environment in which to brawl. And brawl is the name of the game for Paris Eternal. They're going over to a rush comp.
Right.
Atlanta, I would have expected them to mirror this, but they're not going to go for it. They're going for their own poke. Just keeping things exactly the same throughout Busan. I guess that does make sense, though. Yeah, I mean, Pelican wouldn't really play the Lucio, so maybe they're kind of forced to not mirror the rush.
They're forced, I think. Yeah, their hand has been forced because Pelican might be playing the Brigitte here, so they can't play the rush comps that we've been singing the praises of the entirety for the Atlanta Reign. It's what they looked best at. It gives the Paris Eternal a win con, at least, if they know how to find a lot of the weaknesses in what Atlanta Reign are running here. Edison, though, they don't actually realize he's there. He's going to be trying to get capitalizing off of a bit of this damage that's being poked around here by the Paris Eternal, and this rotation game is so important. The Paris Eternal are just trying to catch one of these players out, and Atlanta Reign are just constantly kiting them backwards, dealing damage. This poke overwhelming, see? You're looking for opportunities that Edison can follow up on.
Really well played there by Atlanta Reign. And this is why at the top level these rush compositions can sometimes not work out. Just fantastic baiting and kiting from Atlanta. Pelicans died though in the middle of this, and Paris look like they still want to try and turn it around. It's going to be a hard task.
Hawkins are going down here. Edison, though, it's his job being done. He's just trying to clean up a lot of these plays. The D-Mech onto Elevote is massive.
Is Elevote not going to reset here? He's going to actually try and rebuild another mech. That feels like it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, Atlanta are just a very long time.
Atlanta are just ticking it up the entire time here. Edison's got a pulse bomb.
Yo, okay, 4-star the Immortality Field, the Amp Matrix as well. Holy moly, if Khan wasn't quick with that, that would have been Another little highlight reel. Flashbang comes out. Edison just trying to survive, trying to dodge and juke. Crouching, trying to avoid a lot of these shots, but eventually taken down. The Sooner will capitalize, and now the rotation begins as the Paris Eternal are looking to try and catch any of these players out of position. Hawk has to drop down to the low ground. At the same time, Elevote, again, I don't believe he was in his mech, gets taken out
I don't think he was.
by Gator.
Yeah, and what a weird fight, because Paris committing without their Diva being actually in the main form. Look at Dan getting bullied down the tube as well. They're getting flushed away, essentially. And now the entirety of Paris are on the low ground. It's not too bad for them. They can still play the point. Use their dead eye. Oh, they've been lifted up in the air.
Yep, Sooner almost getting rewarded for that Gravitic Flux being used on him. He's going to get pressured pretty heavily now. The Amp Matrix has to be committed from the Paris Eternal. A lot of ultimates being used, Transcendence to keep the rest of Atlanta Reign healthy, and now the Discord Orb also being applied to the key targets. Iris is just doing his best to keep the rest of the Paris Eternal in check. Blizzard going to be laid out now across the battlefield as Hawk is going to get frozen. Maybe taken down. It could be an opportunity for the Paris Eternal to work with, but this is the final fight. And as the D-Mech comes out onto Elevote, the players fall one by one, and the Atlanta Reign, they make it look easy, Josh.
What a dominant performance on the last 2 rounds there. Well, the Atlanta supporters have got to be scared when they dropped the first round of Busan, but they responded back and showcased that they are in it to win it here today. Their first match looking to be put on the board. The first step is completed, and without playing any rush as well. So we really don't yet have our answer in terms of which team looks to be better on rush. Hanamura and Eichenwald coming up next will give us some idea, but until then, we're probably going to see the DPS and the support systems rolled around a little bit. I doubt that we're going to be seeing Pelican on that Lucio.
Great strides made by the Atlanta Reign, I think, in terms of their compositions outside of the rush. And we're going to see how that continues as well, as the series will proceed after the break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. You know you don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
The May Melee tournament is almost here, and make sure to get your Week 3 qualifier and knockout Sunday picks in. We're pretty sure 76.5% of you can beat Custer, so go to pick'em.overwatchleague.com to play today. And yeah, my pick'ems have been going, you know, it's hit or miss, honestly. I've been having a lot of issues with the APAC region, Josh. I don't know if you have as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, everything's always in flux at the beginning of the season. If you're truly a prediction god, it's not about getting them right at the beginning. It's about getting them right as the season goes longer and peaking towards the end.
Let's take a look at our power rankings of IBM. Watson as well. As you can see, a couple of the past Eternal players just sneaking up there. Dan and Elevode as well. 18 and 19. Not bad at all.
No, not bad in the slightest. I mean, if they can keep up this kind of performance and be essentially league average, because that's what it means to be around 18th, 19th in terms of our tanks overall, if they can keep that up, Paris are going to be really happy with that level of performance coming out. Remember that this is a team that the expectations set by the community were to be somewhere round towards the bottom of our North American pack. And already they have a win on the board, which is good, and they're looking somewhat competitive in this game. They had that first round that they were able to take on Busan. Okay, they kind of fell over in the next two, but they clearly have some skills and some skill sets to be able to work on. Remember, this is also a team that took a map off the Houston Outlaws, who a lot of people have ranked way high up in terms of North America too.
As you can see, the subs coming in. Naga is going to be in for Suna, which is going to be indicating we're going to start to see probably, I want to say, some rush compositions as well. Massa also for Pelican, and Pelican swapping back into the DPS role in place of Edison. So definitely going to be seeing rush on either side as both these teams clash.
It certainly seems likely, and this is where the questions get answered. Our next two maps, Hanamura and Eichenwald, very much rush compositions, especially within the North American region. We've seen a couple of teams do something slightly different, so it's not guaranteed, but it seems likely. And we've already seen that Paris Eternal have a very good rush. They were able to beat the Houston Outlaws on one of the maps. They were very good when it came to Havana. The Atlanta Reign, via the eye test and via their win over the Florida Mayhem on Eichenwald, were fantastic too. Who ends up getting the better end of this? Who is the premier rush team between Paris and Atlanta? And can that even hold over the course of a series?
Yeah, a lot of questions on this one. I've actually been steadily impressed, I think, with the Paris Eternals' understanding of how to play the rush compositions on Hanamura in particular.
Is that?
They have a good grasp of whether, you know, essentially where to be taking successful fights, I think, particularly on point A.
The whole
we've seen it like well. They're always kind of like wondering, okay, are they going to be pulling out like the Symmetra to try and TP above us? Do we need to play back on point? Do we play closer to the choke point?
Feed, though.
And those steady improvements, they all add up over time, and this could be quite a competitive map indeed. As the Atlanta Reign are on the attacking side, it's going to be their opportunity to show and set the pace, I suppose, of how the map is going to be going, set the win condition for the Paris Eternal to see what they can match against.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether Kai continues with this Hangzhou pick as well. Obviously, he might just be using it for a Sonic Arrow or something like that, but we have actually seen a couple of teams try and use this strategy to catch people off. Here goes Dan, back towards the point, and I will say, the European teams are excellent at understanding the metagame around Hanamura. You have to respect the fact that your opponents could be running a Symmetra, so they tend to hold a little further back and try and play reactively.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, the Atlanta Reign are not going to be running the sim, but they're going to be trying to get through this initial choke point. Elevo gets demeched. Caught out of position. I'm not quite sure how that happened, if he was just trying to peel away, but losing one of your tanks is disastrous. And as well, a last-ditch charge coming in from Dan here. The Immortality Field eventually going to be broken. The Atlanta Reign have no issues whatsoever. I'm just picking up the pieces here, and eventually they are going to be able to cap this checkpoint A.
Yeah, superb stuff there from the Atlanta Reign. They're able to capture that with ease, honestly. And Kai moving over to the Hangzhou too. That's going to give them a different tool to be able to work with as we go towards point B as well. So I'm interested to see now what Atlanta tend to do. I think posting up on the high ground and trying to use the Amp Matrix to push Paris Eternal back and secure that high ground position for Kai. Kai and Iris should be able to do a lot of damage from some good high ground position. So for Paris Eternal, I think it's about turning up the tempo here, stopping Iris from getting off that really nice Amp Matrix, and there they go.
Onigod's just caught out. That's a friendly wall. He's like looking for a flank opportunity. They may not realize he's there, but the players have fallen. Naga and Khan are gone. Kai with the amplification matrix, just shredding through them, sending the arrows straight through it. And Onigod even tried to go for a little bit of a flank attempt, wasn't going to be doing anything at all. 5 minutes and 19 seconds, Josh. I mean, you blink and you miss it.
Yeah, that was rapid. I mean, if this continues, we have our answer in terms of which team is better at Rush. The Atlanta Reign came in prepared, and they just dominated Paris on that attacking half. The Paris Eternal actually look really shaky in terms of playing at the tempo that Atlanta Reign are forcing them to play at. When Paris went for that aggressive defense, the wall there and like the way that Onigod pathed and the fact that Dan wasn't actually able to get over onto the high ground and swing, Atlanta had already read what they were doing. And Paris' execution was kind of sloppy as well. Those mistakes only happen when you're playing fast. If you have all the time in the world to think about what you're doing, mistakes are pretty minimal. But when it gets hot, when the heat raises in the kitchen, I'm not sure that the Paris Eternal are going to be able to keep up.
It's true, it's true. Just thinking if that was an actual phrase that I've heard before. When the heat raises in the kitchen. And I was also wondering, that led me to another train of thought. I was wondering if you've ever actually cooked.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, I've microwaved meals before. Sure, that's the same, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not going to grill you too much. There's like, you can pick apart, I think, 10 things I say in a single sentence, and you can also do the exact same. So I'm not even going to go there. Don't throw rocks in greenhouses or something like that. I don't know. Glass houses.
I mean, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. But I'm just going to skip straight past it. Onigod's got a Symmetra. Look at the sim strat here as well. This could be what Paris need to be able to set a similar kind of time. And Atlanta Reign getting right up in their faces. Massa's boops are so crucial there.
Yeah. They recognize that they don't want to let them put the TP down. There's two options when you're running the sim. You either fight them onto the point once they've all TP through, or you fight them early as they're getting ready to TP. And they're both moments of weakness, and Atlanta Reign have chosen to fight directly at this choke point. It's paid off, they haven't lost anybody, and it's really just staved off the Paris Eternal now. They're not even letting them get into position to set up these TPs. Now, okay, they're going to go straight up onto the high ground to try and take out Massa, but he recognizes it. He backs off, and they've caught out one of the main tanks.
Fantastic boops here from Massa. They're so good. Every time they try and go for a teleport, he's booping them back, trying to isolate individual targets for the rest of his team to pick to pieces. It's so well played by the Lucio. Not a role that we could normally think about as being highly impactful, very flashy, but Massa's making it look like it there. It's so crucial that your Lucio tries to make these kind of plays in rush compositions, because it's one of the only ways of being able to separate targets from each other.
Still running the Symmetra. They want to be trying to capitalize off of the ult that they've built. And this time a bit more respect is being shown. The Atlanta Reign not quick off the mark. You can see a lot of ultimates being committed. And it looks like Iris is out of position here. The Ammatrix is laid down in a bad position. And the Paris Eternal are looking pretty good from this high ground position. It's very difficult for the Atlanta Reign to try and hold on against it. And they're going to be losing players steadily and surely. Eventually the Paris Eternal going to be able to cap this up. Yeah, I think Kai was one of the last people who could really try and even contest it. So great engage there by the Paris Eternal. I'm a little bit curious. I don't know if you can expand on it though, Josh. I was wondering why the Atlanta Reign, out of all the times, they were always playing hard and fast into the TPs before they could get them off. And that time they just didn't. They let them set up.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure there. It seemed like Atlanta wanted to go aggressive, but Paris had kind of read it and forced out some cooldowns, so the opportunity just wasn't there. What I'm also interested in too is, anytime you can get Khan up on a high ground with an Amp Matrix, that seems like it's a one fight for the Paris Eternal. They've got Khan up again, and there comes Dan around the side. They thought he'd gone through the teleporter, and instead he lays down the hammer.
God, this is some EU double Gloucester cheese. I've never seen anything like it. They baited him. They thought that Dan was playing with the rest of the team when he was going for the wraparound flanking Earth Shatter. I mean, that's one of those plays that is probably only going to work once, but when it does, it secures you a pretty nice time.
And look, Kai in the match chat as well, giving respect to Paris, saying, that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can appreciate that. What a lovely set play there
That
from
is
the
so
Paris
smart.
And Bren, that has got the time back within a minute. It looked impossible for Paris to be able to do that. Here's our IBM replay as well.
this.
Look at that. They expect everybody to be teleporting up to the left-hand side. It's a classic move for Paris. And instead,
wow.
comes around the back with the 4-man shatter. What a play.
It is so, so clever. So clever, yeah. And the appreciation being shown. I don't think we caught it on the mainstream. Maybe you guys did, but yeah, the Atlanta Reign were like, wow, that is something else. And it's a competitive game that we got here. Still, the time bank obviously gets whittled down, but both these teams with very, very winnable scenarios in front of them here. 2 minutes versus the 2 minutes 54 seconds. And the Paris Eternal, obviously, they've got the lesser time bank, so they're going to be on the attacking side first. And they've actually been... This is the interesting part of the Assault game mode as well, is that you've already gone through it once, and now you're going to start to see how are the Paris Eternal going to adapt around this sim. They know that the Atlanta Reign are playing aggressive into them. What are they going to do to counteract that?
And have they got any more cheese? The French are known for it. We've got some brie, some camembert coming out. What you got for me? Where are they
like
going?
They're just going to be poking. Okay, TPing straight to point. I wonder if everybody got through there. Yeah, so did I, but they just decided to full-on commit to it. They've got the turrets down as well. It's stopping them from pushing right through this main checkpoint. Very difficult to try and engage through here. Eventually going to push through, but the ice wall is up. And Ada caught out of position, but it's Dan who's the first one to fall. I believe the ice wall of Pelican may have cut off the line of sight of the Immortality field. Prevented him from really... They allowed the Atlanta Reign, I think, to really cut off a lot here. And on the defense side, only one player remaining. Elevote might be able to get out. Yes, does indeed. Onigod not so lucky.
And Naga's wall was just a little too late there. The idea being that in Atlanta, they have to struggle and push past those turrets that are being set up by the Symmetra. And then once they fully commit to the point, Naga's wall should be straight up behind them. And instead, Paris weren't quite able to get that off in time, and they got a good execute in onto Dan. Khan, though, here again with another Amp Matrix. I said it before, I'll say it again. Get this guy on a high ground and let him shoot through his own Amp Matrix, and he's going to deliver you kills and clutch the fight. Can they do that again? Can they find a good position for him? They've only got 30 seconds. There's not that much time to be sneaky.
Typically, we've seen so many teams just take their time with this one. Gator playing all the way up into their faces, lays down a shatter, but not getting too much work done. It doesn't matter, though. The damage is already done as he's swinging into them, and the Blizzard will not be enough to try and take down these members. It freezes them up, but not for much longer. And this stagger, the final few seconds onto Elevote, they recognize, well, you got 9 seconds left. You might be able to touch with one person, but you're not going to be taking a 6v6 fight.
And there it is. At the end of the day, though, Bren, 53.7% is winnable. It might not seem like it, considering how quickly the Atlanta Reign did their first attacking round. But in any normal circumstance, Hanamura at point A is pretty defensible for 2.5 minutes. Almost 3 minutes, actually. So it is still feasible that Paris could come out with the win here. But they're going to have to be clinical in how they defend. They should have an idea, though, that it's possible Kai could be bringing out the same Hangzhou pick that we saw previously, which puts a very different twist into how the rush comp works. All of these high grounds, which previously would have been inaccessible to a McCree or even to a Symmetra, because the turret is much more readable than a Hangzhou just clambering up the walls, you have to be conscious of those areas. So a lot of focus on Neptuno, on Elevote, to try and deny Kai from those high grounds if the Paris Eternal decide to defend closer to the first choke point. Those are the players that I'm looking at to try and shut down Kai.
The Paris Eternal, obviously they know what their win con is, the 53%. Very, very winnable still. And when I was looking at the pick'ems as well for this one, Hanamura was the map that I was looking forward to the most, I think, for both of these teams, because you see the tiny, tiny differences between the way that these teams decide to play the rush compositions and Paris Eternal's kind of evolution in terms of the understanding of how to play it. It makes for some entertaining gameplay. Now the Atlanta Reign squaring up to the choke point, just poking, prodding, seeing where the positioning is actually, just trying to get a bit of info.
Elevote's already scouted the fact that Kai is playing the Hangzhou, and Elevote's trying to shut him down, but they're freezing up Elevote and demeching him immediately. Such a great play there from Pelican to make sure that Elevote can't shut down their star hit scan player, who is currently on the Hangzhou. And Kai is now free to just roam around the battlefield, picking off Dan and ruining the Paris Eternal.
Almost exactly how it happened last time. We saw Elevote going down first in the fight. Unfortunate for them, but the Atlanta Reign going to capitalize off of that immediately, jumping on the opportunity, and that's going to be map number 2 going their way. Leading this series 2-0, one map away from getting their first win so far this season.
And the Atlanta Reign did win Hanamura, but I think hearts and minds might have been won a little bit by the Paris Eternal too, with that gorgeous set play with the teleporter and Dan's shatter. So even though they are behind when it comes to this series, quite significantly, this is match point here for the Atlanta Reign, Paris have shown glimmers of cool stuff that they can bring out. They are going to have to bring out their absolute A game to be able to win on Eichenwald though, because we've already seen the Atlanta Reign and how dangerous they look.
Absolutely, yeah, and they are certainly a potent team. We're going to find out just if the Atlanta Reign can close out this series, or whether the Paris Eternal will have an opportunity to battle back and potentially secure that reverse sweep. It's on the other side of the break, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak. the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
As you can see here with our Indeed player resume, this time we've got Gator, and as you can see, guy's got a bunch of accomplishments. One of the most important ones and one of the iconic ones I think in here is that he was part of the original GOATS team back in 2018, the infamous meta game that kind of gripped us for such a long period of time. That was part of his making, honestly. I'm not going to say that, you know, obviously he didn't come up with the Rush comp, but I mean, it was really them that popularized it to an extent in North America.
Oh yeah, the triple tank, triple support meta game, that's what he was known for, that's what the team invented. And yeah, Gator has therefore been playing on teams that play this Rush kind of style for a long time, and he's very comfortable doing so. We saw that on Hanamura, and I imagine we're going to see it again on Eichenwald, because a lot of teams have been running Rush over here. We already saw the Atlanta Reign play against the Florida Mayhem, and despite losing that series, Atlanta crushed Florida when it came to the Rush mirror on Eichenwald. They were spawn camping them. It was some dirty stuff.
It was ridiculous.
And
really did showcase. Yeah, go on.
Now that we've moved on to this final, well, potentially final match, with Atlanta Reign sat at match point, it bears noting as well that it's not just Atlanta supporters who are cheering the Reign on. It's also Dallas. Because if Paris lose here, if Atlanta manage to close this out and beat the Paris Eternal, if they can avoid getting reverse swept like they did against Toronto, then it will put Dallas in a fantastic position to make our May Melee knockouts on Sunday. The worst that Dallas could do is get a tiebreaker match to get into the knockouts. So if Paris lose here, if they lose Eichenwald, all the Dallas supporters watching this as well should be extremely happy, because it puts your team in a fantastic position too.
It's always funny, isn't it, looking at the the way the kind of the tournament, I suppose, outcomes happen with the qualifiers, and seeing how different matches affect other matches and other teams. And you end up with these weird scenarios where, I mean, the Dallas fans should be cheering on Atlanta right now. It's very interesting. It's intriguing, and it's mathematics, which I don't like.
Well, I love myself some Rush composition, so we'll stick to that instead. We'll stick to what we know, and what both of these teams know as well. Atlanta are not going to be going with any kind of Hangzhou play, right? It's just May McCree on both sides. It's a mirror play. Paris should be anticipating this. Elevote has already gone up in the air, used his booster packs to be able to scout this, and Paris know what they're dealing with here, but they are not playing an aggressive position. They are holding reactively. They're looking for Atlanta Reign and rotating around to match them.
Okay, now the pressure comes out, and they actually bait out the ice wall here. It comes down. Now you're going to be unleashing his, seeing if you can get anybody caught out of position. The Immortality Field is going to be dropped by Iris to keep the rest of Atlanta Reign still healthy. No one getting chunked down, but that's a major cooldown gone. Paris Eternal, they can capitalize off of this. They're trying to swing into them, but Dan falls very, very, very low. Forced on Immortality, but as Kai was going for a flank, he gets punished for it, Josh.
Yeah, if Kai had been able to stay alive there, they would have the Immortality Field faster back. And here they go. Iris actually commits the Amp Matrix on both sides. Iris is going to have his Immortality Field up before Khan does, which could be a massive advantage in this fight, but they're lacking all of that damage from Kai. They can't really progress across the point. And Onigod, he already has a Deadeye up in this McCree versus nobody matchup.
Yeah. Neptuna going down, though, I believe, has set them up for a bit of an advantage when it comes to the sound barrier, if they can stay alive. You see the Earth Shatter being committed now by Dan. It didn't quite find anything. The counterplay by Gator as he tries to make it work, but the counter charge by Dan takes him out. Immortality Field again being dropped. Neptuna now going to be using his sound barrier to keep them into this fight. Massa stunned up onto the side, eventually removed. And the Atlanta Reign forced to back off and rethink how they're going to be taking this fight.
Very good defense so far from Paris. What's difficult when you play Eichenwald defense is your ability to react and scout the rotations of the attacking team. There's a big pillar, essentially, right, in the middle of checkpoint A, and you have to be able to anticipate when Atlanta are moving left, moving right, attacking over the top of that. And Paris is doing a really good job so far.
Okay, ult's being used. Amplification Matrix as well. Self-destruct gets sent in and actually catches Dan out of position, as I believe he was frozen up. Yeah, the Blizzard from Pelican catching a bunch of these players. And that's the opening they were looking for. Another flank attempt by Onigod. I mean, that is... okay, he's gonna pay for it with his life, but, you know, I guess he gets the upper hand in it. Maybe he gets to write some naughty messages in match chat, you know, getting Kai's head a little bit.
Yeah, sure. See if you can win the mental game. But at the end of the day, the Atlanta Reign have been able to secure that checkpoint. 4 minutes on the clock as well is extremely good for them. And it only cost them a couple of attempts. Pelican with that big blizzard towards the end completely caught out the tank line of Paris. They were able to convert. Now Paris have the high ground, but they do have to drop at some point here. So for Atlanta, it's about anticipating that and using something like the Amp Matrix as they drop and they're vulnerable for that short period of time. In the meantime, though, Gator's just going to try and get as much free push as he can, but he must not get caught here.
Just searching for a couple of heads. You're exactly right, Gator just looking for that free push, but it's so easy to get pressure from the high ground. He's going to start swinging into them. Definitely has the heals.
There's the main wall.
Now the engagement. Darn dropping down. The Earth Shatter connects. The shield was not being held. The charge comboing into the Deadeye. And that's going to stop them right in their tracks here. The Paris Eternal now stopping the card here is a massive, massive bonus for them. It gives them the choke point to now play around.
And Naga's wall there was crucial because it stopped Gator from being able to see what was happening as everybody fell down. And Dan was able to get in a great position without Gator really understanding what was going on and where everybody was positioned in the fight. Atlanta have some decent ultimates to be able to work with here. Blizzard on both sides. And it looks like they are taking the long route around, up the top. But again, Naga's wall is so good at separating them.
Okay, trading out the players here. Paris want to be playing into them. Blizzard's going to be traded by both these teams. And it's going to catch a few of them. Sound Barrier unleashed now by Massa. It's going to give them the help they need to try and win out this team fight. Self-destruct's going to be committed by Elevote, so he can remech and get back into the action as fast as possible. Still, it might not be enough. Too many players of the Paris Eternal have fallen. The Atlanta Reign, as they get the players back in, coming off the back of the spawn, they're going to be in a pretty comfortable position now as the cart rolls forwards towards the bridge.
Both of these teams are really smart in how they're taking these rotations. Atlanta tried to speed boost underneath and up the stairs to take high ground away from Paris. And Paris, with a perfect May wall, cut them off. So Atlanta just commit fully underneath and use their sound barrier. Here we go again. Paris contesting high ground. They're going to give most of the bridge over. Nope, it's a little bit of a bait. They wrap back around and Amp Matrixes are traded.
Yeah, both players letting it down. You can see it actually did catch onto Hawk. Has to use the self-destruct. The Deadeye being used from the back line. Kai just trying to put pressure onto all of them. What a boop! Beautiful play coming out from Massa. He paid for it with his life, but he set up his team for success. Wonderful, wonderful work comboing into the Deadeye, and it makes Kai look like the hero.
That's such a good play. Massa has been a beast throughout this game so far as well. Always getting impact on the Lucio. He wasn't in for map 1, but he's already made his presence felt in maps 2 and maps 3. And Atlanta keep this momentum going. Pelican's now 30% ahead in terms of his Blizzard here as well. I don't know whether they're going to know that Pelican has it already available.
See him just trying to get the freeze up now. As you can see, the wall comes up just a little bit too late. The Earth Shatter connecting. Dan finding a bunch of targets. The freeze still there.
It's a good immortality field for Iris.
Yep, and what an Earth Shatter! Immediately comes on. Neptuno has to use the sound barrier. Khan also using the amplification matrix, so double support ults committed into this fight. And a last-ditch Blizzard just to try and turn this fight into their favor. Massa with the sound barrier, but not enough to save Gator. Self-destruct, maybe just to try and seal the deal with this team fight. Still quite scrappy, and the Atlanta Reign want to continue to brawl.
Everybody is so weak there from the Paris Eternal, but Kai's Deadeye, I don't think it's going to find them. The positioning is just too decent. There was another attempt at a boot there, I think, but it doesn't quite get it this time around. Kai not delivered the kills, not looking like the hero this time. And Atlanta Reign, they're going to have to reset. 1.5 minutes on the clock. I've got to say, Brent, if Massa's sound barrier had caught Gator there, they probably win that engagement and keep the momentum going. But it's a matter of just milliseconds away. Gator fell, just body blocked and destroyed whilst he was frozen up inside of Naga's Blizzard.
Now the Atlanta Reign, I mean, they can be pretty pleased that they got through this middle point of the map. It can be one of the most difficult sections of Eichenwalde to push through. Now they're going to try and take it all the way. Another Deadeye from Onigod. See him leading it in. Yeah. Didn't actually get too much value out of it. Has to roll backwards now in the Amp Matrix. They knew that there was going to be a bit of aggressive pressure being applied by the Atlanta Reign. And this Amp Matrix does a good job of just essentially forcing them back and shaving a couple of seconds off the clock, but now they're going to start to engage once more. Another Ice Wall comes up from both of these teams. Self-destruct over into the corner. It's forced the entire team forwards, and it is chaos in the corridors. Currently, Gator still alive. Sandbar now, as Neptuno tries to keep his team in it. The Paris Eternal want to try and get a pick-off or two. The Amp Matrix laid down and a Nerve Shatter built up by Gator. Unleashed onto the battlefield. And that's going to really do a lot of business now to the Paris Eternal. Not many opportunities for them to recontest this one, but the Atlanta Reign, they want to finish with some time.
Yeah, only 14 seconds left for Paris. It is imperative that they get them into overtime here. They've got a touch. Look at the boots.
Wow.
So well played by Gator and Massa. Gator's hammer knocks them to the side. Massa's boots knock them back. And the Atlanta Reign, let's listen to their comms.
Focus, Gator.
Trying. Sorry.
Me too.
I try my best.
Me too.
I'm on my last sip of my Dasani water bottle, and there's other brands next to me.
Temptation is real.
Fuck it.
Yeah. All right.
Fantastic. I love the plug there,
Listen.
you know? That's a Coca-Cola product, you know? Official refreshment of the Overwatch League, Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Appreciate
yeah.
that,
And
thank you.
Gator was being careful, you know. He's got the Dasani on the side, but he doesn't want to reach for the other brands, you know. He doesn't want to give them the business. Listen, he knows where the money's lying. He knows he's paying the bills. Got to respect that.
I do respect that. Oh man, I was really expecting them to be much more excited about that as well, because they really did clutch it towards the end. 10 seconds on the clock could make all the difference in this game. It's I mean, you know, it seems like Atlanta Reign are in pretty commanding control of this series so far, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Paris to be able to capture it. In total, seems unlikely they would be able to capture with multiple minutes on the clock, but you never know. Paris have already pulled out some delicious Gorgonzola, some Camembert, some Brie previously on Hanamura. What have they got for us here? Any cheese, sir? Any cheese?
Cheese board, some meats on the side, maybe. I don't know the fancy name for it, Josh. I don't know if you do.
A charcuterie board?
Yeah, that's it. There you go. Beautiful. Yeah, I don't know what the fancy name is, but there you go. Paris Eternal on the attack. Let's see now. They know what they got to match. The question is, are they capable of doing so? Atlanta Reign not playing aggressive here. They're just happy to just hold on to the point for now. They can see the off-angle position being taken by Onigod. It gets shut down immediately.
So many
Pelicans
there. But look how aggressive they are as soon as they smell the blood in the water. They just sense that opportunity as soon as they get the opening kill, and they go in. Try and convert it all.
Your Pelican was popping off
then.
Yeah, he was angry that happened.
What is that? How am I getting headshot by that? What? He's actually going to be quite slow to get back into the fight here. So I wonder if Paris are going to try and use that opportunity. Here we go, getting taxied back. Is he going to be here in time to set up some kind of May wall? Seems like the engagement hasn't quite yet come in, and Atlanta Reign have given up space.
Yeah, Matrix laid down for both the teams. Again, Blizzard into the back line. Maybe going to be able to get a freeze off onto one or two targets, but Gator is the first one to go down here. The Atlanta Reign, they're going for a bit of a divide and conquer strategy, just backing off and letting them onto the point. Are they going to go for a last-minute contest? No.
Hey, I love
away, I think. Yeah, I believe
that's really well played by the Paris Eternal.
Go ahead, Josh. Yeah, I'm assuming they went for Hawk to try and at least contest that one at the last minute, but I wasn't quite sure how they managed to force him back with the D-Mech.
I think there was also a May wall, again, cutting off one of the entrances that people might have been trying to go through as well. But what I wanted to mention is how intelligent that was from Paris to realize that they had a spawn advantage, and with a May, they have to be positioned in the front line to get value. Here we go. That Immortality Field is used just to be able to keep Onigod alive. That presents a massive advantage for the Atlanta Reign, who just outlast the Immortality Field, pick off Onigod, and Neptuno's sound barrier, again, wasted.
A little bit too late. The Earth Shatter blocked as well in the making as the fight continues to try to be clutched here by the Paris Eternal. Still using ultimates. They did end up taking out Hawk. And remember, it is spawn advantage for the Paris Eternal. They're going to be getting back into this fight a lot faster than the Atlanta Reign are. Another Amp Matrix comes through.
Another kill from Pelican.
Khan ends up going down. I think Khan probably just trying to take some wide angles to try and make the most of his Amp Matrix, but it's just created an opening for them. The Atlanta Reign are happy to capitalize once more.
I mean, not just happy to capitalize, happy to spawn camp. Look at this. This is classic Atlanta play. They are going to be chasing players all the way back in. And look, take a look at the time. Make a note of this. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. How long can they tick off this clock by spawn camping Atlanta? The only question here is, Elevote's positioning so far behind them. No, they turn on him, demech him. Surely they're going to take him down here before he remechs as well. Oh, yeah, just about. Well played by Hawk. And how long can they tick off the clock here with this spawn camp?
Yeah, it could be massive for them. Paris are like, oh god, we got to get back into the spawn. We got to rethink how we're going to be pushing out of this one. Coming together a 6. They're going to be trying to take the approach in now into the right-hand side. Atlanta Reign have a lot of ultimates to work with. Deadeye's going to be used by Onigod, but he has to cancel it. An aggressive Blizzard to counteract that play. Immortality Field comes through. They shatter as well. There was no shield to hold up. Frozen in place, and Gator makes the most of it. Again, the spawn camp continues. No players falling. Dana's still being healed up. The Amp Matrix laid down. It is complete and utter pandemonium. For the Atlanta Reign, it feels like they are in control of the situation. They are thriving, Josh, in the chaos.
Yeah, they had a massive advantage in that fight, the Atlanta Reign, in terms of their positioning and the ultimates that they had used. But Paris continued to scrap it out because they'd found the kill on Kai. So they knew that there was damage missing from Atlanta. At the end of the day, though, it didn't work. And Paris are being forced to use ults again to get out of their spawn. They freeze up Gator, but Onigod's already fallen. No one can finish off this Reinhardt. Someone's got to kill Gator. He takes the sound barrier, and Atlanta continue.
Dana eventually puts him down. As you can see, the charge came out. The Immortality Field, the Amp Matrix once again going to be falling here. The Atlanta Reign is still holding strong. Self-destruct to try and push them away, peel them away. And eventually, it feels like they might be getting an edge into this fight, but the Atlanta Reign are making them fight for a tooth and nail.
It's disgusting, Brent. I swear this is against the Geneva Convention to have this kind of insane spawn hold. They take 2 minutes off the clock. 2 minutes, disappeared, vanished into the abyss of time. And Paris, the only reward that they have for it is that they now control the high ground. And I'm sure Atlanta are going to fight them over that as well, because Pelican's nearing up to his Blizzard. If they can pin them back into a corner, Pelican's going to love to try and throw this, perhaps at Onigod when he uses his Deadeye again.
Fighting immediately, you can see the wall being used. Playing around the corner, he's trying to catch Onigod. Doesn't quite get him. Ultimates now by the Paris Eternals. The Amp Matrix is laid down. They're finding opportunities off the back of it. It corrals the positioning of the Atlanta Reign. They can't play within line of sight of it. You can see just fighting over the card here is Gator alone. A bit of an inopportune, I think, time to take these team fights now, because the card is going to steadily move towards this bridge. And I don't know if the Atlanta Reign are going to have opportunities to recontest this, Josh.
Yeah, the problem is half of their team stayed alive in that engagement and have now been squashed up top, literally in the case of Pelican. Atlanta are going to die on the payload here and try and contest for as long as they can. But it seems like a bit of an inevitability that they're going to translate this.
It certainly does. 25 seconds left. And honestly, this is one of the dangers of the spawn camp in a weird kind of way. But this is a great example to really point it out, is that, yeah, you can spawn camp, but because the card had already, pushed through the main gate portion, the whole point of the spawn camp is to maximize the amount of team fights you take in a section of the map. But the way that the Atlanta Reign decided to take the team fights, and the fact that they weren't exactly completely clean and were a bit shaky and staggered at points, meant that that advantage was just thrown out the window. Paris Eternal could take some prolonged team fights, and now look at it. 1 minute 20 on the clock, and the fight continues now into the final section of Eichenwalde. Paris Eternal looking to try and contest, but they lose Naga early.
Naga was hiding around the corner trying to get a cheeky little Blizzard off, and Atlanta read it. Hawk spotted them, and they were able to isolate that kill. There's Dan with a bit of an Earth Shatter trying to trade the Reinhardts out, and Paris, they're determined to make this momentum work for them.
This is so scrappy. A minute on the clock here for the Paris Eternal. They're going to start to get their players back into the fight. They have a Blizzard to work with as well. Naga's going to be looking to see if he can lock up the Atlanta Reign, but the Atlanta Reign are already back in this team fight. The Deadeye is going to be clearing a bunch of space. And this is it, really, Josh. It's final team fight territory here. The Paris Eternal need to win right now to finish with some time.
Naga's Blizzard has got to be the game changer here. There's a wall that isolates Gator, throws the Blizzard in as well. That's going to be the main tank. The Atlanta Reign frozen up. Immortality keeps him alive.
So low. Deadeye from the high ground here. Onigod's looking for opportunities, but not finding them. Self-destruct as well, pushing the positioning away, buying off this precious time. The Paris Eternal desperate to take it, but Dan falls, Josh.
I don't know whether this is doable anymore for the Paris Eternal. 10 seconds left. Neptuno's the only player in a position to touch. Look at him up there. They found him already, isolated him, and even this scrappy attempt at a recontest is not going to work. There goes the Paris Eternal. 1-2 record for them. And the Atlanta Reign put their first win on the board, and they keep themselves in contention for the knockouts of the May Melee.
So important for the Atlanta Reign to win this one. I mean, as you said, Josh, it keeps them in contention for the knockouts. If they ended up losing this series, and I know obviously as we got to the middle portion of it, it was looking pretty unlikely, but you know, reverse sweeps still do happen.
They happened last week.
Winning this, so important. That's right, they did. So important to win this one if you're the Atlanta Reign, because you want to be showcasing what you've got in the May Melee knockouts. You want to be trying to make it to Hawaii, you know, to compete in that international tournament.
Absolutely. And Atlanta Reign, this is a good win for them. It gets them on the board for the first time this series. It establishes them as being ahead of the Paris Eternal and their like in the leaderboards, at least for the moment, when it comes to the Rush compositions. But it does not change or shed their reputation from last year of being that gatekeeper team. These are the expected results we would have seen if we just assumed it was the exact same team from last year. And so we still need to see more from this roster. It feels harsh. I feel cruel saying it like that, Brent.
Yeah.
That even after a fantastic win here, a 3-0 sweep of Paris, that I still want to see more from Atlanta. But considering their expectations, their player quality, I'm still looking towards their future matches. This was a good win, but they can do more, and I want to see more. So they've kept themselves alive. Now let's see how deep they could possibly get in the May Melee.
Absolutely, yeah. And let's take a look at our player of the match presented by Xfinity. And we've given it this week, or this series, I should say, not this week. We give out multiple awards. It's not just a weekly thing. But it's going to go to Kai, I think, for the dominant hit scan performance that this guy was putting out across the board. And we've seen this guy really work magic on Widowmaker on the Ashe before. But again, just that consistent damage output, and even did it on the Hangzhou, as you can see here on Hanamura as well, was really what I think gave the Atlanta Reign a massive edge in a lot of these team fights.
He's a fantastic player. He didn't quite manage to get Roll Star or get nominated last year, but he led the league in final blows. He had a huge amount of hero damage done as well, and you can see his statistics here for McCree and, of course, the amazing Hanzo that he played over on Hanamura. But he's so good at being able to get a huge amount of damage done and quite a lot of final blows whilst minimizing deaths. He doesn't have to play a really risky style of any hero that he plays. The McCree, the Ashe, the Hanzo, whatever. He doesn't have to play that aggressively and take these risky flanks in order to generate value for his team. He's a very smart player and a great representation of British Overwatch as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, it's pretty rare these days. I don't have too many British players in the Overwatch League, but I mean, Kai is putting in the work as well. And it's an important point that you brought up as well, Josh, about talking about, you know, the Roll Stars Awards, you know, not really quite squeaking in there. This year, I think, is going to be an opportunity for Kai to really showcase his talents, where a lot of people were sleeping on the guy in the previous year. And this is the year, you know, he's surrounded by a very good team. We're going to see what he's capable of doing. But we're not going to talk about that just yet, because we've got Danny down on the floor, on the virtual floor, and he's talking to Pelican as well. Take it away, Danny.
Brent and Josh, thank you very much. Yes, I am down here on the virtual floor, joined by Pelican from Atlanta Reign. Pelican 선수 경기하느라 수고 많으셨습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, all right, let's jump right into the question. My first question is, what was the thought process behind you and your team having you play Brig on the first map, Busan? 오늘 좀 굉장히 좀 색다른 모습을 본 것 같아요. 저희 또 아틀란타 팀에서 원래 딜러로서 활약을 계속 하셨다가 오늘 브리기테를 좀 하는 모습을 많이 보여주셨는데 그거에 대해서 좀 설명 좀 부탁드릴게요.
원래 그 33 코치 때 브리를 많이 해서 그 브리를 한번 시켜 주셨는데 잘해가지고 계속 했더니 예.
아, 그 시켰다는 게 원래 뭐 스크림이나 이때 연습하는 도중에 한번 시키고 오늘 경기에 나오신 건가요? 아니면 연습이 아예 없이 오늘 처음으로 아예 나오신 건가요?
시키고 좀 연습하다고 예.
Right, so ever since we had that GOATS meta, I've been playing Brig, and the team thought that, you know, they wanted to try me on Brig, and I did play well. And I also added I added another question to that, asking if because Pelican told me that this was the first time they had him on Brig. So I was like, is this the match? Was the match the first time you were on Brig, or did you guys have like scrims or practice as you on Brig? And then he corrected me saying that they did have scrims, they did have practice with him playing Brig as well. All right, so my next question is going to be, you guys seem more comfortable on non-ranked comps, especially today. Was that the focus of your last 2 weeks of practice? 오늘 좀 예전과 좀 다르게 오늘 좀 아틀란타 팀이 그 라인 조합 말고 좀 다른 좀 다양한 모습을 많이 보여주면서 좀 굉장히 좀 잘한 모습을 보여줬는데, 지금 한 경기가 2주 정도 만에 다시 경기에 들어오면서 좀 라인이 아닌 조합을 좀 많이 연습을 하셨나요?
네, 저희가 이제 그 다이브가 좀 못해서 약점이었는데 연습을 2주 동안 열심히 해서 이게 됐어요.
Right, so yes, we did practice a lot, and I felt like we were sort of weak on like dive composition, so we practiced that, and I think we did a great job, and that's how we got the win. All right, Pelican, thank you so much for the interview. 오늘 인터뷰에 대해서 너무 감사합니다. 다시 한번 수고 너무 많으셨습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you.
All right, everybody, let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Pelican. Thank you so much, Danny. And welcome back, Danny. Nice to have you back here with us on the desk.
Yes, I'm
back. Wow, you went a long way. Now, let's take a look at the standings very quickly, because this victory of the Atlanta Reign actually changed some things up. They're now sitting at a 1-2 score with an even map differential. So that means that their next match coming up against the San Francisco Shock, which I think is on Saturday, there is going to be a lot on the line for this very team. Now, also, because Atlanta Reign took this one, that means that now the Dallas Fuel clinched at least a play-in for the 6th seed in the knockout round. So that's also good news, of course, for all the Dallas Fuel fans out there. Now, in this particular brawl-off, Atlanta Reign came out on top. We were wondering which is the better brawl team, and Atlanta Reign showed some dominance, but also we did see them to, diversify a little bit. They did play other things as well. Costa, is your faith restored or not just quite yet?
Yes and no, I think is the answer. We only really saw them play a lot of other things on that first map when they were on Busan, and even then they dropped that first round. They made a ton of mistakes and it wasn't as clean as I was hoping it would be. We still haven't seen them play the Winston as well. We didn't see that in today's match, so I am still holding my breath. Obviously, we know Atlanta's a great brawl team. They spawn camped another team on Eichenwald's second point. Please stop it, you're hurting their souls. But I do want to give credit to Atlanta Reign. They do look better. I'm hoping to see more improved matches, and I want to see if they can actually take it to the best teams. Obviously had a very hard opening weekend, and it's important that they beat Paris, but I'm still looking upwards for this team.
Exactly. Now it's time for Crunch Time presented by Cheesy Grooves, and it doesn't get any crunchier than this. It's a pretty straightforward path for the Washington Justice to get into those knockout rounds on Sunday. If they beat Boston, they're in. If they're not managing to do so, they're out. So they need a victory today to stay alive. So let's talk about this particular match heading onto our screens. I don't know where this sentence went, but anyway, match coming up. We are very excited for it. Reinforce, there's a few players particularly you would like to talk about, and that's the rookies.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Washington Justice team that has all-stars on it. Of course, we got Fury and Decay in this lineup, but Mag and Assassin has been two of the players that has really impressed me so far in their initial games. Assassin, of course, playing the Doomfist against Vancouver Titans. We really saw him came to life. This is a guy for whom sky is the limit. I mean, this guy is so talented on DPS heroes, and he's going to be vital for the Washington Justice this season. Against the Vancouver Titans, we saw him play the Doomfist, we saw him have huge amounts of impact. And I'm not just talking about the punches, I'm talking about the script in the game itself. Then Mag against the Dallas Fuel. That matchup, we already talked extensively about it. Fearless was incredible on Winston, but Mag matched him. 15 Primal Rage kills on that Eichenwald map. He was crucial for their win, against one of the best teams in the league. So, Assassin and Mag, if they can continue to play like this again, alongside the likes of Fury and Decay, Washington Justice are going to continue to be a force to be reckoned with. So watch out for those guys.
Absolutely. I mean, I was super impressed with what we saw so far from Mag. I did predict him to be the Rookie of the Year, so right now he's on a very good path to do just that. And if you're wondering what I'm doing over here, Nori needs scratching, and he's been very demanding.
Oh, of course.
So I'm,
Lord Nori.
I'm touching a cat's belly. Speaking of cat's belly, that's my transition over to our casting team.
you know, sometimes it be like that. That's right. We do have our second match of the day coming up. It's going to be the Washington Justice and the Boston Uprising facing off against each other. Here, everyone on the desk thought that Washington Justice got that one in the bag. Any different opinions, maybe from our casting duo?
The cat's belly
just
part,
cat's
Josh.
belly.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, what would you call it?
We're cute and fluffy. No, I'm not saying that that's an unusual thing to call a cat's belly. I'm saying that's an unusual thing to call us. I don't know. Is that like cat's pajamas?
It's a positive thing. Just take it or leave it.
Okay.
All right. I'm just.
All right.
I've been described many things,
out,
but cat's belly is not one of them. But yeah, in terms of what we expect from this game, or at least what I expect from this game, I'm kind of on the same boat as you guys. I think with Washington taking this one, Washington just look monstrous. I mean, I have nightmares about that team, and I don't even play in the Overwatch League. You know, I'm scared to play there. I'm scared to play against them. This team looks filthy on such a variety of different roles. So it's gonna be a tough match for Boston. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You know, I don't know if you agree with me there, Josh.
Yeah, definitely. I think the desk has wrapped it up. You know, they've sailed Boston down the river, but yeah, we haven't really seen Boston too much.
No.
So you know, there's still glimmers of hope.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, tell yourself that and have fun.
Yeah, I will have fun, Johnny. Thank you very much, and I'll cut you off there as well as we take away and glide into this game as well. And hopefully the match at hand that we've got, you know, obviously all of our expectations are that, you know, Washington's going to be having a great time in this series. But what I will say is, you know, we've been very wrong in the past and very wrong so far in this Overwatch League season. So you never know. Maybe Boston might pull something out here and prove all of us wrong. Wouldn't be the first time.
It certainly wouldn't. And I think also the other thing for Boston is if they can remain competitive in any way, that's going to be a great sign moving forwards, right? Boston are a team where people either thought that they were going to be towards, like, I guess, lower middle of the pack, or some people were very high on them, and they really believed in their coach, Laurie, and the new talent that they brought in as well. Obviously, the loss of Soon early on in the season does seem to have impacted them. But overall, it's a team that has a lot of decent prospects as well, and certainly an interesting look for Boston in the sense that Hook has almost seemed to try and buy the dip here in the Overwatch League and seen if he can make a bit of a cool team for the 2021 season. So if they can remain competitive in any sense, this is still pretty good.
Absolutely, yeah. And let's take a look at the Washington Justice starting lineup as well. Who are they going to be rolling out with today in this series? Well, the response should not surprise you too much here as we start to see on the DPS side of things. Of course, we have Decay, and he's going to be alongside Jerry. The tank line, I think, Mag and Fury as well is one up there that, I mean, right now competing for the best in the league. It's still early days yet to be saying that, but as it stands, I think that they are really showcasing that they've got what it takes to compete with the very, very best. And a stable tank line, Josh, really is one of the core components of being a top team in the Overwatch League.
It makes or breaks rosters. Absolutely. I mean, the current prevalent theory within Overwatch League as well is that you need an excellent coach and an excellent main tank. And you can kind of make the rest of it try and work, but those are absolutely crucial if you want success. Let's take a look over at the other side as well, because the coach is one of the most interesting parts of the Boston Uprising, but also their main tank is pretty interesting too. It's Stan One, who comes from the Shanghai Dragons team that did so well last year. Yep. A lot of people are pretty high on him and what he could bring to this roster as well in terms of boosting them up, giving them an opportunity to play a bit more of a structured style. And the star player, probably going to be Valentine, who so far we haven't seen too much out of, but I'm hoping this is his opportunity to show himself against the best.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've seen some interesting stuff come out from Boston, actually, in terms of compositions that they like to run. And, of course, you know, we see Punk as well playing in this lineup. Didn't really get, I think, a great showcase of his abilities in the previous year. It's going to be looking forward to this upcoming season, or this season that we're in right now. It's not necessarily the upcoming season if we're in it, to really showcase what he's made of. And the first map will be Busan. We've already seen a variety of different compositions being ran on Busan, not just the rush composition, but a lot of the wrecking ball. It's just kind of complemented in a certain sense. And it really does seem to play to any of your strengths. If you like to play rush, you might be able to make it work. If you like to play a lot of wrecking ball comps, poking around with the hit scan, you can make that work as well.
Delving a little bit more into those compositional and roster choices for the Washington Justice, when we saw them play against the Dallas Fuel, they were fielding Assassin and Jerry to start with. So Decay ended up sitting out of their starting lineup when they played, I believe that was Ilios on Control, because they wanted to play some Sombra Reaper, some more kind of front-to-back dive compositions with Mag on the Winston. And Busan is an opportunity to just play double hit scan. I mean, we've seen it in the previous game that we just watched as well. These ball comps are dominant here, and especially when you have a DPS line of Decay, who is just elite, and then Jerry, who's a great up-and-coming talent. This seems like it would be a fantastic opportunity to let that duo shine. So it doesn't surprise me particularly that Assassin is not in, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. And I remember as well talking to a lot of the community, or like especially like Discord and whatnot, and hearing about how you know, a lot of people were quite surprised that Decay wasn't seeing playtime initially, but that's just the dangerous thing about the Washington Justice, is that Assassin is also just a bit of a nutter. The man might just turn up at any point and dominate, but yeah, especially when you've got Decay and Jerry, that's who you're playing against. It's a difficult ask, and they're going to see how they hold up against it. The Boston Uprising are looking to play a bit of a double bubble composition. Plays a little bit differently now to what the Washington Justice are trying to output. You can see the engagement coming in from stand one as he tries to set up a bit of a play, create a bit of space for them, and they're capitalizing immediately.
This is actually really well played by Washington. When you see a team that's running the Zen Mercy backline, you need to hard engage onto that backline and really punish the Zenyatta for not having a Brig with them. And this is a good follow-up as well. They immediately took out Fury. Punk's got himself into a great position with a lot of charge by applying bubbles over to stand one. As long as Punk can stay alive here and retain his charge, they're looking good. What a good beginning for the Boston Uprising.
Oh yeah, 100 charge on Punk as well. Very, very scary. Honestly, mirroring, in a kind of sense, the previous series that we watched, because I believe it opened up on this particular section of Busan as well.
It did.
We saw the not necessarily these same compositions, but we saw the Zaryas getting a lot of value, particularly Elevoed Zarya. And now we're kind of seeing the same here as Punk just trying to build it up. And you can see pressure being applied onto the point itself as I'm 37 is being pushed off here. That's by Decay. He's putting in a bunch of damage. Stand one now going to be receiving this nano boost. Needs to try and take down Decay, but Decay falling back to the rest of his team. A bit of a disjointed exercise. Pulse bomb laid down as well. It's not going to mean too great things. However, the Boston Uprising are able to just kind of turn it around and salvage it.
Yeah, they did actually manage to make that work. The timing wasn't great from Sangwon and Myeonbong in terms of when they executed the dive, and Washington did a decent job at kiting, but Stanwon got his leap online at the final moment and they took down Bebe. By the way, Closer has also moved over to Brigitte here, so there is no damage boost for Jerry, no healing, no resurrect online for their backline, apart from that Brig, and Closer here, there we go, he dies to I'm37. Boston Uprising are in clear control at this point.
Yeah, Decay getting picked off early as well in that team fight by M37. A character we haven't really spoke about too much here. In particular as well, the Boston Uprising. You know, we've been talking about how dangerous this Washington Justice DPS line is. But Decay sometimes, he has a bit of a knack for biting off a little bit too much. More than he can chew. You see him here, he's just trying to pressure the extremities now of the Boston Uprising. Now they're going to be playing aggressively into it. The grab is going to be committed. Counter grab comes up, but actually gets body blocked. I don't think he was expecting Stamwon to jump into it. And there's no follow-up here for the Washington Justice. 98%. There is somebody on the point to try and flip this one over, but they've lost all the players necessary to compete.
Yeah, Washington are just simply going to get mopped up here. There's nothing that Decay can do. They're getting pressured down. He would have to contest Faith on the point as well. There's rally armor on everybody.
Oh my god.
And simply no impact from the Washington Justice. Bebe could never get into position. Stand1 was always on them. And then Decay got shut down pretty much. He wasn't finding good opportunities to pressure the backline. Boston Uprising, I want to give them so much credit for taking that first round away. They had a game plan, they came in, they executed it exceptionally well. And they've got a different game plan here too. We're going to see a rush composition with the Reinhardt and the Sigma. How does Washington play around this? They're going for their own double bubble. Very different styles from both of these teams as they alternate through the various viable compositions that the meta currently allows.
So cool to see almost the rock paper scissors style. It's not really rock paper scissors though, because you can make these styles work against one another. It just depends on how comfortable you are playing them. Yeah. Boston Uprising going to be running this rush comp. Valentine is going to be playing the Doomfist here. Trying to punish, I guess, the Washington Justice for not running.
Oh, great engagement.
McCree, but stunned, bashed up, and actually a huge Bionade. The Washington Justice were more than ready for that kind of engagement. They've been doing their prep work here.
It really felt so perfectly timed. All of that CC coming out from the Doomfist stops the Washington Justice from kiting, and it allows Stand 1 to get damage, to get speed boosted into them. Close has fallen as well, though. They aren't out of the water yet.
Yeah, and Boston, it was looking okay. Mag needs to be healed up here. He's going to be backing off. You need a lot of patience and discipline to be playing this kind of double bubble composition. And Animus applied onto Mag. He's going to be leading it in. Getting a ton of work done as Stand 1 just gets obliterated. And eventually it will mean that the point is flipped back over here.
Fantastic timing there from Mag and Decay. That's the synergy you're looking for. Remember that Decay hasn't played with these guys before, and Mag is a rookie. So seeing that kind of type of synergy from two players who are anticipated to be some of our best in the Overwatch League, that's the kind of synergy you need to get the maximum potential out of these players. Valentine now has swapped over to the May. There's the speed boost used from Faith as well. The Justice, they're backing, but Closer is stuck.
Okay, a lot of damage coming out. Kill's going to be traded. Mag just trying to make this Primal Rage to catch out a couple of these players. Look at the mechanics. Caught up into the corner here. Punk could not move anywhere. That is beautiful work. Washington holding strong.
That's pretty gorgeous. Jerry's going to be coming up to his first EMP here pretty shortly as well. He's at 80% right now. Pretty much neck and neck with Fury as well. I don't think they'll use the grab and the EMP to completely wipe Boston. Better off used separately. But maybe grab Pulse Bomb if they can take out some of the cooldowns. The name of the game, though, for Justice is to continue kiting until Boston have used those important cooldowns. Hello? How does that happen? Surely some random...
Wow. That is not ideal for them. And Mag as well got chunked down as he tried to counter-engage as they were coming around the corner. Not an ideal situation for the Washington Justice. They're going to get the 70% on the board. Yeah, it really did. But the Boston Uprising now, playing this rush comp, Josh, they can be holding at these choke points. And this is a really optimal position to be holding, especially when you get some ultimates online.
It is, but the Justice also have a lot of ults to be able to break those forward holds. They're going to be predictable positions for Fury to land big grabs, and Mag can use his Nano Boost to try and push past them, and they have the EMP. So the Justice, even though they're stuck in choke points here, have a lot of tools to be able to break those open.
Jerry just trying to get the hack off here. Decay also. Oh, moving in, gets caught by the Earth Shatter. There's going to be a lot of peel attempts onto him, but look at this, the Boston Uprising capitalize. Mag and Jerry go down as that entire fight was taking place. Postwoman to the back, that was almost sickening. The sound barrier by Faith, though, is going to be keeping them all alive, so it's all for naught at the end of the day. Closer falls as well.
That sound barrier, though. The sound barrier being down means no counteraction to Jerry's EMP. I mean, having said that, I wouldn't have normally said an Earth Shatter is a good counter to an EMP. But catching Jerry when he was just hanging around there trying to get a manual hack onto Stand 1, that was a gorgeous decision from Stand 1. Let's see how Jerry uses this, though. EMP so far away from everybody else. And they're just trying to bully the ride.
Well, Mag with the Nano Boost applied, yeah, just trying to take out Stand 1. Eventually they do it. Primal Rage being used as well.
Bionade.
It's going to be fading pretty soon. Bionade connects onto so many targets. The Boston Uprising chunked so low. And Washington Justice just pushing them back into the choke points once more. The damage is done. 92% though, and counting for the Boston Uprising before it eventually gets flipped back over to the Washington Justice. But Washington are now looking at that pulse bomb, looking at that grab. They have great opportunities to try and hold the Boston Uprising right here, right now. Oh yeah, they're hiding for it.
Oh, looking for the sneaky play. Fury getting a bit weak as well. They're all getting into close range where Valentine can do work, but he's not really able to land that much damage. It does push people away though.
Pulse? Oh my god, that just chunked them all down. And there was no cooldown to try and save him. The damage is done. Jerry just cleaning them up as well from the back line. The SMG spraying them all. Only a couple of players left standing. The overtime burns, but nobody is able to touch. And Washington Justice now going to be evening up 1-1 so far in map number 1. So many parallels to the series we just watched.
yet, except in the series that we just watched, the Atlanta Reign very, very comfortably took round 2. That's not the same case here. The Washington Justice were made to fight for every percentage point that they just got there on Mecha Base. The Boston Uprising were able to force mistakes out of Washington. They caught Jerry out of place multiple times, sometimes because of Jerry's mistakes and sometimes because of like big plays like that shatter from stand 1. But they are forcing out errors from Washington. You have to be a pretty decent team to do that. So this is not wrapped up in a ribbon just yet. History may not repeat itself. Everything is open here, but when Decay and Jerry have a lot of space to be able to hit their shots on a long-range hit scan and a tracer, you've got to be favoring Washington again. Can Boston bring this one to the finishing line?
This is probably the best Boston Uprising that we've seen. I mean, the fans have been waiting for this kind of Boston as well. Since probably 2018 Stage 3, I think, was when Boston last looked kind of on this kind of level. And taking an early map away from the Washington Justice here would be a wonderful way to set the tone of what to expect from this squad. Still, Valentine is going to get caught out of position there.
He missed his blink. He ended up blinking into a wall, and Decay just batters him down from behind.
Off the back of that pick, it means that no one's really going to be keeping too many players in check. Jerry in particular, I mean, he has a lot of free reign. When there's no more Tracer to try and, like, okay, threaten the opportunity that he might be getting punished, he's allowed to take these wide off angles. As you can see him, look at him, playing this long sight line all the way down here, putting in the shots
into sight already.
Yeah, it's just absurd.
Yeah, he did so much damage in that opening engagement, plus the kill towards the end. This is going to slow down Boston. I'm 37 will not want to contest him when Jerry has this kind of angle. It's just going to keep him back.
Especially with the infra side up. I mean, look at the amount of work he just put into stand 1. Stand 1's almost been taken out, by the way. The Discord Orb was applied. Decay ends up falling, though. The Dynamite with the Discord Orb.
Himself.
Yep, takes him out. There's something that I mentioned earlier as well, is he, like, sometimes Decay, he's the kind of player that really wants to take a lot of the responsibility of the team on his shoulders. But you got to play together sometimes. Bebe takes out stand 1, though, so it's not the end of the world for them. Washington's still going to continue to fight this one, and this is where the fight starts to get a little bit scrappy. Coming out on top for the time being, though. The Discord Orbs are being applied. No one's taking care of Bebe. Great accretion. She's going to be slotting it in. And the Washington Justice holding on.
Fury doing so much work in that fight as well. But Stan 1 was forced to engage in that position with such weak health. And once Fury gets the rock onto him and there's a Discord Orb applied, Stan 1 just got absolutely melted. And on the other side of that, they didn't have the Punk in position to punish Mag, and so the ball diff just occurred in that team fight. The Washington Justice were able to create so much more room with Mag there. And there's so much pressure on this guy, Valentine. He wasn't really supposed to be the Tracer player for the Boston Uprising, but necessity calls.
Yeah, so much pressure as well when you're going up against Decay, the Rally, the Gravitic Flux now being used by the Washington Justice. Transcendence are counteracted here. Boston want to be using this advantage to try and potentially get a pick, but it's going to be the later Transcendence coming out again. And nobody touches the point. They had the players, Josh, to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, the team fight was turning, but when it gets chaotic like that, it just slips away. And the Washington Justice going to be taking map 1 here early on in this series, but I think Boston are going to be kicking themselves there.
Absolutely. I mean, in those final moments, we talked about Decay against Valentine. Decay gets the 1v1 kill again onto Valentine, and then sticks Stand 1 with a pulse bomb, and so it distracts Stand 1 from actually touching the objective and making sure that he secures overtime there. But I do think that Boston are going to be kicking themselves a little bit. They performed so well in that first round, and it just slipped away from them the longer that map went on.
Absolutely. Well, the series isn't over yet. We'll see on the other side of the break. Can the Boston Uprising come back from this one? Can they showcase that they've got what it takes to stand up against some of the best teams in North America? We'll find out. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. More Overwatch League coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
To celebrate the upcoming regional knockouts and first tournament of the season, the Overwatch League is excited to release a skin that captures the fighting spirit of competition, MMA. Get it while it's on sale now through May the 11th for 200 tokens. So you can, there you go. There's the first of the tournament skins that are going to be released as well. We should have more upcoming as well. It's quite exciting stuff. Yeah, as you can see with our power rankings of IBM, Watson, Assassin and Decay reaching into the top 10. And no surprises there whatsoever, Josh.
No surprises whatsoever. Assassin and Decay being able to make it in there. I expect them to even get higher throughout the season. This is a DPS line that a lot of people are very scared of too. There's so many good DPS players in this season. Fantastic kind of company to be in if you're a rookie player like Assassin. And, you know, there's a lot of other good names there up towards the top. As IBM Watson gets more and more data over the course of the season, we'll see how those shift and how they change. But at the beginning here, considering that they've only played 1 week and they're 2-0, that's, you know, already very impressive stuff from the Washington Justice. They didn't have pushover games either. They played against the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think this is, yeah, I mean, we've been pretty blessed, I think, early on in the season with the quality of some of these games. And now, as we take a look at the maps we're heading into, it is indeed Volskaya. Volskaya map where you see, generally speaking, I think a lot of double bubble is what teams are playing as well. Alongside, you can make it work with other compositions. As we take a look as well at the map leaderboard for Volskaya Industries presented by Xfinity, as you can see, no real connection for both of these teams. And honestly, I don't think they're going to be making this leaderboard either. The way that both these teams have been playing, you know, on paper you might have expected maybe a good time to be set against Boston, but they have been fighting tooth and nail against the Washington Justice.
They certainly have. It's been close. Even the only round on Busan that wasn't close was an outlier, it feels. Boston have actually been able to go toe-to-toe with Washington, as long as they have a game plan and a good idea of what they want to do to shut that down. I think that's what's so crucial here as we come into Volskaya. What is Boston's plan, and what are they doing against Justice? I also think that Boston have been benefiting so far from not really playing mirror compositions. If you think about how it went down in the first 2 rounds, Boston looked better because they had a good understanding of how their comp worked to break the opponent's comp. But when Washington mirror them, they end up just getting kind of outclassed pound for pound. You're going up against people who are playing the same comp, but are overall, most of the time, going to be better players. That's a hard thing to make work. And here again, we could see mirror compositions come out. So that could be a bit of a struggle for Boston. I mean, said that, Washington are hinting that they might be wanting to run more of like this ball poke comp kind of setup, which is also viable on Volskaya.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a lot. I mean, the meta is incredibly open at the moment in terms of what you can play. It really is. Which is exciting, honestly. I think, honestly, it kind of comes about as well with not many huge, massive changes with, you know, without heroes being introduced as well. In a weird kind of way, if I am going to look at a silver lining of something like that, you do get to see like a lot of creativity and these different compositions and styles really arising in those scenarios. When you don't see these massive, massive balance changes. Little subtle tweaks is all you need.
Look at that sleep up top. Myunbong laid down. Stan1 has to play a little more passively because he didn't have access to that Ana healing, but it doesn't matter. Closer falls anyway. And the Washington Justice, they didn't go for the ball poke comp. Instead, it's the double bubble. Jerry's a bit trapped in there. Wasn't quite able to get with the rest of his team. And we're going to see pretty slow-paced performance here. The key for the Boston Uprising is for Stan1 to go for these mini dives on top of the truck and just laser down the back line when they try and get through. The Washington Justice should find it hard for Closer and Bebe and Jerry to path through these corridors.
Yeah, and like you said, Josh, Stan1 just doing his job, just trying to basically stop them from pushing through the initial choke point. Mag going to be trying to dive in, but whether intentionally or not, he falls to the low ground and Bionade catches. Takes Mag out. Healing comes through, so the rest of Boston are going to be healed back up as well. And yeah, that was a lovely little play.
really nicely punished, right? When an opponent makes a mistake, you have to be ready to punish it instantly. And that's what Boston have done here, and they're trying to continue to turn the screws. Really nice stuff here from the Boston Uprising.
Punk, the nano boost applied to him. He's got 85 charge. Can't really play off the back of it too much. Might be able to beam them down though. Close to maybe building up that grab, but backs off eventually. Nano boost having to apply it, I think, because they didn't want to lose him. They didn't want to lose that charge as well. Obviously, when the Zarya gets taken out, you lose all the accompanying charge that you've built up off the back of it. So saving Punk there, but not really building up the grab off the back of it.
No, and Fury has a grab of his own. That is a beautiful bio nade.
Oh my God.
Catches Jerry, but takes down Decay. That's exactly what Washington wanted. So far, what Washington want to do is get Decay in on one of these angles to create a bit of a distraction, a bit of space, so that the backline can path through. And they're going to try and use Mag to take control of the hut high ground as well, to push people back. There's a pulse bomb attempt, sneaky Valentine around the corner, but Decay pushes him away. Good, decisive play here from Washington. But there's Stan 1 again, and this time he has his primal.
Yep. Mag's in the back line. You can see him. He's unleashed his primal rage just to try and disjoint them. And it's a very split approach by both of these teams. You can see them just trying to find an opportunity. They're diving now onto I'm37, but look at the heals coming through. So much work being done. I believe that's Faith with the armor packs, and the rally has been built up. Bob sent off the map. I don't know if that was intentional. Most likely not. Still, the grab in close quarters. Big Bionade and Nano Boost applied. The turnaround! Punk finding so much damage now with the extra Nano Boost applied on top of him. Decay finding Punk though. Stan 1 out of position, but he does have the bubble, and now he's going to be diving back in. He realizes, okay, we can catch Jerry here. We can stop them right before they get even started in a foothold. Wonderful, wonderful work by the Boston Uprising.
This is really nice play by the Boston. They are finding such great opportunities. Even when Mag was primaling the entirety of their backline, the whole of Boston was working really well together to stop him having that huge impact. This time they push away Stand 1, have to deal with Valentine a little bit here. They need to try and push him away from that position. If they can force him to recall or blink away, that'll open up space. Justice, they popped out the rally, but Mag falls immediately. Flashbang by M37.
Mag going down. You don't have that main tank to create space for you. I'm37 pushed off, but the Washington Justice eventually breaking through. It's looking tight as well. They didn't have much time to work with, but they just about managed to make it work in the end. Corralling the Boston Uprising again into that little room. They are going to be able to cap up this objective, but it looks like Boston might be squaring up for a recontest, Josh.
I mean, yeah, they're not going to give it to them for free, I don't think. Looks like there's going to be a recontest here. Stan 1 up over the top. He nearly has primal as well. If they can get the nano on him, Stan 1 needs to be saved. He can't be.
Okay. A little bit dangerous there. Yeah, and I mean, a cutesy attempt as well by Boston. Only the very best teams really try and press every advantage they can find. That recontest almost worked out for them. But they're going to be spawning
a good idea.
Nice and quickly, yeah.
Stan 1 was on 90% of his primal, and Myeonbong was on 96% of his nano, either of which could have saved them. And here comes Mag on the other end. Beautiful mechanics.
Yeah, look at this guy go with the primal rage. Makes it look like a dragon blade. Just forcing the positioning all over the place. Jerry with the nano boost applied to him, falling so low here. He's being battered by Stand 1, but will be kept alive. Thanks to the nano boost again. Myeongbong though trading one out. And Fury, he's all charged up here. Perfectly applied bubble now as he's trying to save his backline. Faith eventually beamed down, not able to stand up to it. The Deadeye comes through, but blocked up by the bubble. Still Boston finding opportunities as the players are spawning back into this fight, Josh. And it was looking great for Washington. They got 85%, but they just about squeaked out the recontest and eventually saving it.
Yeah, Boston are actually playing really smartly with how they position themselves around the map. They get Faith in such a deep, advanced position, and Fury turns to try and punish that, but it still creates space for Stand 1 to get in deep. And again, they just keep cycling these players around, playing the important positions, and making sure that they're distracting the backline constantly. Fury was charged up, doing a ton of damage, but they just couldn't lock down those targets and wipe them out.
Dive early here, the bubble applied as well to Mag. Stand 1 again, sort of mini dive as you can see comes through to just try and deny the positioning away. Very close to these ultimates. Boston going to be looking for this grab now as Punk is very close to building it. He's got it. Now the engage goes through once again, comes through. Punk actually going to be jumping over to the other side of things with the right click. Catches the grab onto one, but only the one target. Bebe falls. And while that was going on, the Washington Justice, they jump into the back line, and Mag is getting so much work done. Look at the work! He's absurd!
Oh my god, that's 4 kills for Mag so far in this fight. He turned that from an unwinnable situation into a dominant one for the Washington Justice. Solo dive into the back line, he takes out both of them. Then 937 comes back in to finish off another player. What did I just witness? That's some fearless level stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. Feels like every year we get these up-and-coming players, and they just showcase really what you can do on a variety of roles. I mean, Winston gameplay like that is just beautiful to watch as well.
It is.
Really controlling the battlefield.
Don't get it wrong. 2021 is the best year of rookie main tanks we've ever seen. You say that we often have a crop of good rookies. Yeah, supports, DPS, a lot of stuff like that. It is unusual for there to be this many incredible rookie main tanks coming into a season. Look how expertly Mag works around the point, works with Decay as well, who got into the backlines and turns this one around. By the way, the rest of his team at this point had been grabbed and nanoed in the backlines. He had to turn this almost single-handedly. He did have help from Decay there a little bit towards the end, but that is just genius. When you think about how good Mag is, when you think about how excellent Django has been playing as well, and then with the potential for other star main tanks as well that have just come straight out of contenders to perform, this is a fantastic crop that we've got this year.
Certainly is, as well. I mean, I just want to watch that replay again. I mean, it was just absurd. It's hard to appreciate how difficult what he was doing is, and it feels like I'm almost blowing it out of proportion, but it's ridiculous in terms of you have to get very precise key presses to get short little hops like that on Winston while controlling the Primal Rage. It requires a ton of practice. It's very, very difficult. Yet, the fight continues. The Boston Uprising on the attack. They can see where the goalpost is. A lot of damage into stand one. That bubble was applied quite late. They might be able to chunk him down as he was forced down to the low ground. Couldn't capitalize off of it. Jerry on the high ground now, being pressured away. But the bubble blocking line aside. I don't think Jerry could get healed.
Yeah, I think that they really struggled to get there. Jerry clearly looked like he was expecting there to be some healing coming through. Closer and Bebe, though, weren't really in a position to be able to deliver it to him. Fury's been bashed over there as well. Kind of isolated from the rest of his team, as Boston Uprising just take control of important positions again with this double bubble composition. They are controlling the map, and again, not opting into the mirror.
That's wonderful play from the back line there. You can see that Mag was going for a play, but taken out, and now the nano boost applied to stand one. The choke point's just getting completely locked up. Fury left standing is going to get the mega health back. He actually took out I'm37. Accretion? My god.
Wait, he takes down Valentine as well?
What? No way is he staying alive here. That is absurd. I mean, he gets taken down eventually.
Wait, but he's just saved the entire team fight for his team. Because the Boston Uprising were on attack here, right? Even though it looks really weird and it almost looks like they're the defenders pushing deep into spawn, they were trying to contest this objective. The fact that they chased Fury for an extra 10 seconds and he took down both the DPS might allow the Washington Justice to recontest here.
They're going to try and be pushed off here. You can see Mag has actually got back into the fight. Some heroics from Fury might be enough to stop them. The rally's going to be used now by Faith. The team wants the extra health to try and work with Grenade Flux, catching everybody. Pulse Bomb leading into it. It sets up Decay perfectly for the two-piece. And the Transcendence, Bebe just backing off as well, putting in that consistent damage. Still taken out in the end as he was caught out of position. Decay's trying to still make it work for his team. Just putting in that damage, trying to get the kill onto Faith. Eventually he's going to get it. And Jerry, they bought enough time for him to get back into the action. Bob laid down. The damage is done. Boston have to go back to the drawing board.
Decay is a monster in terms of how he cleans that up. The pulse bomb off the back of Fury's Gravitic Flux, and then his tracking and his ability to just find value in these scrappy fights is so huge. But my mind keeps going back to Fury.